Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Phantom. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Before we jump into the lower degree counts, we're going to go over a couple of the higher time frame ideas that we've been talking about previously. So one of them is that we are looking at this move as a 5-wave structure from this high, where we have this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what we were looking for is the potential of this B wave. Now, it is possible that this B wave could be completed already into this point over here, and we could be then looking for this C wave to the downside. We have moved up to between this 382 and this 0.5. So because of that reason, I am on the lookout for that possibility of the C wave looking to continue to progress to the downside. Now, the 1-to-1 area of this would be down here towards this 0.325. So this would be looking for direct continuation down, and what we'd be expecting is for this high over here of this 0.5951 to continue to hold. Now, there's a couple of ways that we could look at this C wave actually looking to progress down. One of them being that we could be looking at something like a diagonal pattern here, and what we'd then be saying here is that effectively we have this as our wave 1, this is 2, this would become A, B, and C, and we're looking for a rejection here within this level of the 786 to this 50%, which would be 2850 to this 2399. Now, within this idea, what we'd be saying is that this is a flat, so this is going to be very important within this idea, that if we do have this as a flat, what we would then be expecting is price to come back down and sweep this low. Now, if we do see something like this, and we are looking for the potential of this being a diagonal, we are not allowed to cross this 1204. We would then be expecting 5 waves to the downside here for this wave 3, 3 waves up, and another 3 wave move down for this wave 5. So this would potentially look to bring us back down here and actually look to sweep these lows. So we'd need to be on the lookout for this, that if we do see a move like this would align very nicely with coming back into this lower channel line here, just sitting towards this 1341. So going to be keeping an eye on that if we do see this actually play out. Now, this could then mean that we have just an A, a B, and a C, and that would then potentially look to complete the move. So if we do see something like a diagonal here, this could actually complete the C wave, and we could just see this fall short. Now, the typical zone we look for a truncation is this 0.618, but with the C waves, sometimes we will get this fall much shorter than this level, and as long as we take the A wave low here, I would be looking out for that potential of a reversal if we do see something like this actually play out. Now, we could also argue internally here that we could count this move slightly different, looking for the diagonal, and what we would then be saying is that we could still have this is our wave 1, this is 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, this would actually mean the diagonal is completed here. So there is a bullish count which we're going to go over here, where we would be looking for a 5-wave structure to the upside. But we still need to be very careful within this idea, because if we just get a 5-wave move up here which fails to break back above this 786 at this $1.77, this could be just a C wave to the upside here, where we could still be looking for something like this. Now, we've been talking about this for a while, that as long as we hold 1642, we have the potential that we could see the C wave looking to develop to the upside. So if we do continue to hold this low here towards the 1693, then effectively we could start to build this 5-wave structure. 1-to-1 would bring us up here towards this 0.67. And then the 0.618 would actually align quite nicely with this high over here towards a 0.3991. Now, this would only happen if we get a running flat, which is not as common. So we'd have to just be careful here. The thing is, because we haven't swept this low, I wouldn't really be looking for this 0.618. I'd be looking more towards this 1-to-1 level, but we'll have to see if we can continue to see, you know, the C wave developing as a impulse. Now, if we look at the other options here, there is a way we could look at this just as an impulse. Once again, the idea here would be that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'd be looking for the possibility of a diagonal pattern to complete this 5th wave. Now, the target for this would be between this 11 cents 86 and this 7 cent area. Now, within this idea, once again, we'd be looking for that possibility of a diagonal pattern, or alternatively, we could be looking at something more complex like this. Now, within this idea, this would be a slightly different way of looking at this. We'd be saying that this was actually an expanding diagonal as a wave 1, and what we were looking for then is that this is our wave 2, and we're looking for continuation down. Now, the key level here that we wouldn't be looking to cross is this 32.42. If we cross that zone, that would invalidate the idea here that this is actually looking to progress to the downside here, but what we'd be expecting is for this move to actually complete as a flat correction and then see a sharper rejection down towards this 0920. If we do see a move down towards this level, then I will be looking out for the potential that this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'd be looking for this fifth wave. Then from that point, it's going to be important to see what happens, because if we just get this move develop, this wide 5-wave move to the downside, it is also possible we could argue that this is just A, B, and C, and this would align with the other count that we're going to go over here in a second. But what I'd be looking for within this is that we wouldn't be looking to cross back above 32.42. We'd be looking at this as a flat, and we'd want to see 5-wave structure develop once this starts to reject you. If we find support above this, this could then align with the bullish count, where we could still see continuation up, but we could also just see this move become something like a W, an X, and a Y, and we could still look for another push up into this 28.46 to this 23.99 before seeing that continuation. So it's going to be very important here that if we are looking for the bullish move, we need to get back above this 32.04, because if we fail to break back above this zone, this would still put us in the danger zone for this more bearish count here, where we could see this looking to break down. Now, one of the other ways that we discussed this as well previously is that we could be looking for something like this as a W, an X, and a Y. Now, within this idea here, what I would be looking for would be the potential that we are actually forming the A wave of this Y wave. So effectively, what we'd be looking at is either something like this, where we see a direct breakdown here, where we see this become WXY for A. We have this as our B wave, and we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that could then look to complete our move. Within this idea, the zones I'd be keeping an eye out for here would be between this level here of this 1-to-1 and this 1.618. So we have 0.692 sitting here at this 1.382, which is aligning with how I've currently got this drawn out. But we'll have to see by the actual internal subwaves here that if we do see a 5-wave breakdown like this, this could be enough to complete the move. And what this would then mean is that this would actually complete this Y wave towards this zone of this 786, although our 1-to-1 is down here towards this 0.340. So we need to be on the lookout for this possibility of this continuation down. So now we're going to go over some of the more local ideas here. And what we've been talking about in previous videos is that we could still see something develop like a flat correction, where this whole move could still be a corrective structure. Now, within this idea here, this could mean that our B wave is potentially completed already. We'd be looking at this as a flat for an A wave. We'd be looking at this as a B wave, and then looking for the C wave up. Now, if this is going to be a flat, I would be looking for, once again, between this 1-to-1 to this 1.236 as a common zone that we look for a regular flat. However, if we do see price actually look to push down here one more time, where we get this as A, B, and C, and we push down into the 1638 to this 0964, but we fail to actually achieve that next impulsive area where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we just get a move down here towards the 1-to-1, this could then align with actually pushing us down into this target box, and would be still looking for that possibility then to see a 5-wave move up and then that continuation down. This would actually fit into the idea that this is our W wave here. This is all an X wave, and then we'd still be looking for that Y wave down. So this is something we need to just be on the lookout for. If we do start to see 5 waves to the upside here, if we get a move up towards this 1-to-1, we face rejection. I would expect a sweep of this high though if we do see the C wave, but we'll have to see how the internals shape out as we get on with it. Now, it is possible this B wave could be incomplete. Now, if the B wave is incomplete, we could argue that this is WX, this becomes A, B, and then we're looking for a C wave still to the downside. Now, there's a couple of ways we can look at this. Like I said, we could potentially look at this as a flat correction. Alternatively, if we do look to find support here, we could see another push to the upside after a shorter retracement here between this 20 cents to this 18 cents. If we see price come back down here in 3 waves, I will be looking out for that possibility of another push to the upside, where we could see this area of this 28.73 to this 23.78 get revisited before seeing something like this C wave down. Now, if we overlay these two ideas, we can see that this 1-to-1 would put us very close here to the 1236, which is sitting here at this 1181, which is a common area for a flat to find support. in its overshooting B wave. Alternatively, this 0964 would be the next target I'd be looking for if we're going to see something like a flat. Now, like I said, this is going to be the key area here. If we just see this develop as a flat, what we'd be expecting is that we'd see continuation to the downside. If we see price find support above this low, like I said, we could be looking for that 3-wave move up. If, however, we then start to break to the downside and we look to break down and take this point here, this would invalidate all bullish counts from that area. So this is why we need to just be a little bit careful that if we are looking for this as a move to the upside in a bigger 5-wave structure, then effectively we need to hold this low. This low here of the 1709 is going to become very important within our bullish count. Now, if we're looking at this idea of seeing a bullish breakout here, this is what I'd be looking for more locally. So within this idea, what we'd be saying is that potentially we have this as a completed move. Now, we have had a very shallow retracement here towards this 0.236. Now, it is possible within impulses, once we start to develop, we can see very shallow retracements, but more commonly we look for targets between this 50% to the 786. So I'm going to be monitoring this, because if this is not a completed move, we could still see this come back down here one more time and look to actually bring us down towards some of these lower levels. Now, the 0.382 is going to be an interesting zone to keep an eye on here, because we do have the potential to find a support resistance flip above this high here. Alternatively, if we do look to move back down here, the 0.618 would be testing out this little consolidation area here. So we'll be keeping an eye on that if we do start to break down. Though at the moment, looking at the structure, it is looking more likely that this is going to develop as a W, X, and a Y, but we could also get something like a flat correction here. So what I would be looking for is that this is our W wave. We're looking for this as an X wave. Now, the X wave has come back up to the origin point. If we do see this continue up here, the probability is that either this move is not completed or this is becoming a flat. So we're going to go over the flat idea in a second. Now, within this, what I'd be looking for is effectively this move to complete as an X wave to the upside here. Now, it is possible that this move could already be completed. Looking at the fib relationships here, we can see that we've already hit that 1-to-1. If we do look to push up slightly higher here, this 2415 is going to be an area of interest to me at this 1236. Now, within this idea, effectively what we'd be looking for is 3 waves back to the downside, looking for a move back towards this 2143, and then from there we'll have to see what happens. If we do just get this develop as W, X, and Y, and we start to develop 5-wave structure to the upside, this could actually make this the 1 and the wave 2. However, if we just get 3 waves back to the upside and we fail to break back above this 2344, this could align with this whole move becoming a bigger A, B, and a C pattern, looking to push us back down towards this zone of this 2042 to this 1909. Now, there are some areas of interest that I've got here. Like I said, we do have that potential for a support resistance flip off of this high. Other targets lower down I'd be keeping an eye on, as would be this 2023. We do have a low off to the left hand side, which would align with a retest of this area. So this would all line up quite nicely with coming back up into this 50% level here towards this 2027, and then we'd be looking for that support to come in. Now, if we want to talk about the other way that this could develop, if we're looking for the potential of a corrective structure here, is we could still be within this B wave. And what this could mean is that instead of looking at this as a W, an X, and a Y, what we have is a flat correction here, where this is our A wave. We're looking for this B wave to the upside. Now, our common target area that we look for a B wave is between this 2504 to this 2405. Now, we haven't really come up into this as a expanding flat. It is possible it could just be a regular flat pattern, in which case we'd still be looking for that move down to the 1-to-1, the same as the WXY move. But if this is actually going to be an overshooting B wave, this could mean that we still have a 5-wave move to complete to the upside here. Now, within this idea, what we'd then be saying is that this is our A wave, this is B, and then we're looking for a 5-wave move to the upside. Now, the 1-to-1 level would be here towards this 2494. This would also align with moving up towards this 1.618 level of the W wave over here, and this could then also push us up into the zone of this 2504 to this 2466. So I'm going to be watching this area here. Though lower down here, we do also have some confluence between this 1236 and the 0.618 of this A wave here. So if we do see another push up here into this high towards this 2413, I'm going to be watching for a reaction in case this is actually becoming a flat, and we're going to just see a small break of this high before seeing a more significant sell-off in the C wave. If we do see something like this would change the target slightly. What this would then mean is that if we see a move up towards that 1236, our target for the C wave would be between 2172 and 2035. The lower area is more common, but we have to just respect this 1-to-1 level aligning with this possibility of a double bottom. If, however, we come up higher here towards this 2504, the target that we then will be looking for would be this 1236 to this 1618, which would be sitting here towards this 21111, and that would then actually align with the C wave playing out to the downside in this way. And once again, if we overlay this, we can see that this aligns perfectly with this 0.382. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this level. If we do see a bit more of a push to the upside, then we see a violent sell-off in a C wave. If this comes into this 0.382 zone, I will be looking for a reaction. Now, the key thing here within this bullish count is that we also need to just respect the fact that this could just be A, B, and C, and we just see a move up to the 1-to-1 level. So if we do see price looking to push up into these zones after seeing a bit more of a retracement here, whether we can see this ABC, we hold the support line here, and we just see a move up to the 1-to-1. This could then align with this just being a corrective move, and then that could mean that we could see price looking to break down from that point. However, if we do just see a move up into this 1-to-1 and then we find support again in a 3-wave retracement above this low, then we could be looking for this move starting to continue to the upside. Now, if we did see a move down towards this 0.382, this would mean that we'd need to see a move up towards 36.67. The lower that we go here, the lower the target for this 1.618 becomes. So I will be keeping an eye on this. If we do see a move into that 50%, for instance, this would put us towards this 35.19. And what we'd want to see is 3 waves down and then start to see a nice strong 5-wave move to the upside, looking to target out this level. If we do hit 35.19, then we could be looking for this additional 4th and a 5th wave here, which could look to push us up towards this zone of this 38.65 to this 35.62. Now, the key thing here, if we zoom out a little bit, is that if this is going to be a bigger impulse, what we would be anticipating is to see a 5-wave structure up, 3 waves back to the downside, finding support in this zone of this 2013 to this 2506 before looking for a bigger rally to the upside here, looking for this 1.618. So the important area here to keep an eye on is this 1709. If we lose this level, this would then invalidate the idea of this impulse and would potentially mean then that this is just a flat correction. So in the shorter term here, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this 1839. If we stay above this level, then we do have the possibility to see another leg to the upside, even if this is just ABC. Or alternatively, we could start to see something more impulsive developing here, where we see a move up towards the 1.618. So I'm going to be watching this to see how we react. If we do see price come back down here one more time, this could then align with this being a wave 2 completed and then seeing this wave 3. If, however, we just start to see price looking to push directly to the upside and we don't see a break back below this 2166, what I will then be looking for as a target for this to confirm the impulse would be 3770. If we start to see something like this, we'd be expecting to see something like this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 looking to push us up into the zone. If we just see this push up into the 1-to-1, like I said, we need to be very careful that this isn't just corrective, and then we could see price looking to reverse back to the downside. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, what we can see is that we are currently above our central lines, which is sitting between this 23.48 to this 23.27. If we do continue to hold these levels, we could then see price look to visit this 24.02, 24.47, 25.11 and this 25.55 as potential upside targets for today. If, however, we see price lose these central lines, I'm going to be looking to see if we find support here, either at this 22.94 or yesterday's previous low, which is sitting at this 22.77. If we do continue to hold these levels, then we could potentially start to see a move back to the upside here. If, however, we lose them, I will be looking for 22.31, 21.87 and this 21.25 as potential pivot points within the market if we move down. Now, moving over here to the weekly CPR lines, we can see here that we actually printed these lines. We didn't really get a touch of this. We then moved up and hit the R1 and the R2 line here, and now we're currently settled above this R2 line. If we do continue to hold this level of this 23.45, what we could then see is price moving towards this 26.02. If, however, we start to break down here, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this R1 line here at this 21.17. If we lose that zone, other targets that we could still look to visit and find support this week is 20.21 to this 19.04. So these lower target areas would align quite nicely with some of those bullish ideas here. We would be looking for this 50% to this 702 level here. So this would align quite nicely with these central lines to see if we hold this zone and we get a reaction if we're looking at the bullish count. If we start to lose these central lines, then potential comes to actually see a move down towards 1829, 1578, and this 1446. Though obviously we do not have much time left for this week, so we'll just need to bear that in mind, that we'll get new lines printed as of tomorrow. Now, moving over here and having a look at the monthly CPR lines, we can see that we actually moved up and hit all of our targets. If we do look to hold this level of support, 23.57, then we could potentially look for continuation up, probably into that weekly CPR line that we talked about. If, however, we see a retracement down here, 22.19, 21.06, and the level here of this 1981 to this 1951 is going to be a zone we could look to find support. Looking at some of the lower targets here for this month, 1854 is a potential pivot point, 1715 and the 1603. So going to be keeping an eye on these levels. Once again, within the bullish case here, there is some confluence here between this 0.382 and this R1 line. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this. Obviously, once again, we do not have a lot of time left for this month, so we will be getting new CPR lines printed as of the 1st. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you will find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.